Welcome to another episode of Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff. I am Alex Dingman.
I'm Jeff Doss. What's up, guys? I hope you guys are having a blessed day and having some fun. We are ready to talk about the crazy weekend in sport karate, and it was a banger. And we are excited to bring this show to you. This is episode 197. We are getting up there. First off, we are sponsored by the Virtual Fight Tour.
That we are.
And man, they have a big show coming up August 26th. Battle of the Dojos, 8 dojos, going at it. They just put out a couple videos last week, so more details are coming in. But we have a lot of time to get ready for this. So I know over the next month or two, we're going to be talking more and more about the event and the show. And
I love this Battle of the Dojos thing. I've mentioned it a few times. And I think the dojos that are there, I mean, this does a few things. One, it just brings us back old school to where we would do Battle of the Dojos because that's what people did. I mean, doesn't it also tell you the talent that's in New York?
Oh, yeah, exactly.
My goodness. If we could do something like this where they're all in tight-knit, close quarters with each other, it's going to be, this just lets everybody know, like, hey, maybe
everybody needs to pay attention.
Tournaments in New York are a place where everybody needs to go to. Go check the Battle of, what is it? No, the King of New York. The King of New York is going to be a big one.
Yep, it's going to be a real big one. So, also, guys, if you didn't check out Monday, episode 200 of CTE was their final episode. So, we want to just give a big shout out to that podcast. As you see, we're on 197. We started literally, I think, maybe 4 or 5 weeks after they did.
Yeah.
Mostly because both of us just can't help ourselves and comment on every single thing and just be in the comments the whole time. So, yeah.
You're not wrong. You're not whatsoever.
Hey, let me input. And then
myself.
All right, how can we get these two guys to have a show together? So, we are excited to continue carrying the main gang flag and keep you guys informed on what's going on, but also just bring you interviews, bring you just our perspective on the sport and the different topics that we have. So great job to Chris, Travis, and Carlos for everything they brought to us and to the sport. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a big deal. And one of the things, if you guys didn't hear the episode, or if you haven't yet gone and listened or watched the episode, what they mentioned, mainly Travis led on that, was that, guys, it's an undertaking.
It is.
To set up the show, to produce the show, direct the show, week in and week out, be there for the show. It's quite a bit. And, we know that to a little bit, because here we are, we're doing it too. But let's just hand claps to Travis, hand claps right to him for everything he's put together. Because he didn't just put together one show, we put together a bunch of shows, and we're all here loving exactly what he's done and what he's been doing. And we're following that lead. So he's the director, but he's also the leader.
Yep. So, awesome job, man. Awesome job to everyone. And this isn't the end. This is just the beginning. We got a lot of cool things coming up. So we filmed a lot of cool stuff at the battle, and we are going to film more things. I know he's got Karate Combat this weekend. The next weekend, we will be at the Open. So it's going to be pretty awesome. Lots of different things. He's going to go to, I think he's going out to the Adrenaline. So it's going to be
that's a big deal.
A lot of things that Main Gang will be at and being a part of. So excited to be a part of that and help. So, so the battle. Wow.
Talk to me.
So if you didn't know, I was pretty involved with the battle. I had something that, one thing we talked about with CTE, that there's been a lot of change, and they've helped the sport, and we have too. And I think there's nothing more evident than the really rise and the push of the Korean Challenge from our very first episode, like we talked last week. Was, like we've been talking about it, and people have been listening. And then I started competing again in NASCA, and I think that helped as well, right? So I believe we were just everywhere. Yeah, Drew, and when I talked to you at the end of the day, man, I was so tired. I was relieved it was over. But it's funny because I didn't create the Korean challenge, but I created the buzz for the Korean challenge.
Well,
And
here's what I'll say.
like I
You
let
didn't create the Korean challenge, but you were the face of the Korean challenge.
Right. And so
somebody has to be the front man.
Right. And so one of the coolest things, and we're going to talk about this in the documentary as well, about it that we kind of filmed. But man, when I kind of took my time a little bit to even get into the ring, but when I walked to the ring and they called me there, that ring it's 11 a.m. just filled with white uniforms and Taekwondo uniforms and Tang Soo Do uniforms. We had 16 competitors in the first ever Korean challenge. Okay.
That's pretty good.
For men's, for one division. That was 6 more competitors, I think, than the traditional challenge. That was, more. And then the next day in our Korean division, we had 22 men.
Nice.
So we had almost 10 more than the 10 or maybe 8 more than the men's traditional. So we were really doing it,
So you mentioned something that I was going to ask you about, which was the uniforms. So you mentioned see white uniforms, but you also mentioned like Tang Soo Do uniforms, which are different.
But they're still white with a trim. Yeah.
Sure.
Blue trim. Yeah.
Did we see different looking uniforms? Well,
not really. Just the white and the black. I mean, like the black trim, right? And then let's see, the pullover uniforms of the ITF and I guess I was the only one that had that. And then also a couple had the WT pullover uniforms. So thanks, Richard. So what's up, Jackson? So, I mean, it was really cool. I'm going to be honest, like I had so many emotions rolling through me when that happened because I was excited. I was so happy. Jesse Scheffler, one of the great competitors from Leclerc's, he asked me, "How you doing, Jeff?" And I was like, "I'm happy." He was like, "Good. Yeah, I'm happy." Just, that's all I could say. I'm happy. At one point, I was almost in tears, but at the same time, I'd be like, "Dude, I got a target on my back. Let's go." Everyone wants to win this. Like, I want to win this, right? So it was just a cool thing. We had a lot of cameras and different angles on it. Just the vibe was great. I mean, the competitors were awesome. And so, yeah, I mean, it just went on. The junior girls had 9 in the 13 under, I believe, 7 in the 13 under, and 14, 17 had 9. So good numbers. The females had 8, the adult females. The only 2 divisions that didn't have the numbers that the others did were the junior boys. There was like 3 and 4 in those 2. So hopefully we can get that rolling more. Again, I think, pushing it more, the publicity of it needs to happen more besides just us talking about it. And so I think that's really cool. Lindsay had some great pictures. And yeah, Chris, you're right. That's something. So the judges were solid, right? The judges, we really had a good variety of judges. And I think the more this happens, we're going to get more Tang Soo Do judges, more WT judges, more ITF judges. And I think overall, this is going to be a great thing for the sport.
Well, Chris mentioned on CTE, little, spoiler alert, that he said as soon as he saw John Chung in the center, he knew, all right, here we go.
Yep.
Buckle up. Right. And that's a great point. It was kind of like, I remember when the creative division first started.
Right. And
you saw Charlie Lee in the center. You were like, all right, here we go. Now, with that, I wasn't a huge fan of how Charlie Lee judged it and his justification.
Right.
You can't really argue John Chung. All right. And I like Charlie Lee, but you can't argue with John Chung. I like John Chung because he's such a black and white personality. And if you guys want to hear fun episodes, go back and listen to last week.
Right. Yeah, man. So it was, I mean, there's so much I could say about it. I don't want to make the show the whole, we talked Korean Challenge a lot last week, so I don't want to make the whole show. But
let's be honest, Jeff, you were the champion.
Yeah, so it was really cool to be the first of that.
It's a big deal.
It's a big deal. Also, it was really cool because a lot of people were questioning and worried about the head-to-head format. How are you going to judge it? How is it going to look? Are people going to run into each other? I think in a lot of ways, from what everyone's telling me, that was the coolest part, especially in the finals. They're like, dude, this is cool. Bear Lobie was sitting there, and he was just like, dude, everyone was loving it. And even the fighters were like, when you can get the fighters to watch traditional forms, that's a cool thing. Like, dude, this is cool. Jeff almost kicked this guy, you know, William almost sidekicked Jeff. Like, it was crazy. It was awesome, right? Yeah, Kerry.
Okay, so because really cool. I wasn't in the building, I wasn't there, explain a little bit the head-to-head format.
So the first round was a regular division, right? The top 4 moved on. Okay. From there, the first place went against the 4th place.
When you say went against, how does that look?
So say there's 2 of us. We bow in. I'm on the right side. The other one's on the left side. And they say, you know, Jumbi, go. So Jumbi, we get to Jumbi.
Jumbi means ready for all those non-Korean palace.
Go ahead, go. And then we start our forms and they watch. And now the only thing that I think needed to continue that was a mistake, but I think it was just because all the other judging was the judges were in front in the finals. They didn't put the judges in the corners like they did in the daytime. And I think, again, that was just an oversight because all the other divisions were like that, right? So I think that would be the next thing that would help. But overall, it was really cool. Yeah, the finals came down to – so the top 4 in the men's was Cameron Whittington versus William Smart. They were the 2nd and 3rd. Yeah. Myself, Jeff Doss versus Jesse Scheffler, all right? So that was the 1st and 4th. I won. William won. William and I went head-to-head. In a lot of ways, I mean, I think there's a lot of great competitors. You know, even to me, one of my toughest, top 2 toughest competitors ever was in there, and that was Bear Lobie. But for the past 2 years, William Smart has been my toughest competitor. And like I said, he is the first person to beat me in like 6 years, right? So William is amazing. And we battled on stage, man. We really did. We really battled on stage. And it was really awesome. You know, there was a point where, you know, I had to kind of hold up because he was doing his side kicks. He was doing Kun San Kun and I'm doing OG and I'm about to go for my jump front kick. And if I did my jump front at the same time, it would have been like a jump front kick and his side kick in the air at the same time hitting each other. But I held up, waited for him to go. So there's adjustments as they went. Some people who are like so structured and that messing up the timing and tempo of the form. For me, no, it's a fight. Like, it's just like a fight. Like, you have an idea, you have a game plan. Guess what? Your opponent messes it up.
Because you're a performer. You're a true performer.
Performer, but also martial artist, I think. You know, if you're a martial artist, you do that, right? And then, of course, the 5-minute horse dance.
That's cool. All right.
So go ahead. And then
the true performer in you. You're totally right. All right. I remember having a conversation with Jason Borelli years ago. And, you know, when you watch someone like, okay, let's say Jason, and you could tell that like this form is great. His form is amazing, but you could just tell only because you've seen him a number of times. You're like, oh, he changed this on the fly. Right. Yeah. And I talked to him about it and he goes, and he said it, he wore it with like a badge of honor. He's like, oh yeah, man, you know, that's what makes you a true performer. I'm like, you know what? You're right.
Exactly.
So that's kind of what I'm echoing that hearing you. Makes you a true performer. And at the same time, I don't like it. I want to be able to do the form, the performance. So part of me loves the head-to-head that way.
Right.
But I know if I'm looking here for a moment, I might have just missed this amazing thing. So the only way to do that is to have you guys closer. But now if I have you guys closer, now it kind of can somewhat hinder your performances because of what you just laid out. So I love it and I wish it was different all at the same time. But you can't have a perfect system. There's no perfect system. But
yeah.
I still kind of wish it wouldn't be like it wouldn't be so close. If you didn't have to pause for a moment.
Oh, I don't think it affected my form at all. I mean, it actually made it probably better.
That's great.
But here's the deal. Here's the deal. what it does though is, all right. And so for those that want to see this continue going, and for us as a Korean stylist to make this happen, and for all the other promoters to want that on stage,
got to compete more.
It has to be like that.
Got to have big numbers.
Well, we've been having big numbers. Our numbers have been 20 to 30 every division. But what I'm saying is that no, it has to be different. If we had 4 more traditional forms on stage, would anyone really care?
Oh, that's a great point.
They would just be like, oh God, more forms. Oh man, we already hear it enough, right? But now you put it in this format where it's different and something that is not even going on the rest of the thing. It makes it like amazing, right? It makes it so different.
It does make it
so
more
exciting. It stands out. So I thought it worked great. The women's one was a great battle between Caitlin Vaughn and Gabrielle Dunn. Great job to Caitlin for really just, man, she stood out big time doing choreo with her side kicks and the way they locked. She hasn't done that form in a long time. And it was really cool to see her go back to her roots and that with doing her true WT forms. So great job to her. Great job to Gabrielle. For me, I did the Korean challenge like right after I did the traditional grand. So that was another thing that I had to kind of think about. I didn't want to do the same form back to back. That would be a bad thing for the judges, right? So I did Sosan in the grands, and then I did Oji in the Korean challenge. So, there's so much more to talk about with that. But
I do want to point out a question that Chris just asked here, and he said, "Hey, what about instead of 1 versus 4 and 2 versus 3? What if you went 1 versus 3 and 2 versus 4?" It's not a bad idea because it does kind of even things out a little bit more. I mean, it's 6 to 1, half dozen the other, but I kind of like that idea. That looks kind of cool.
Either one's fine. I think the biggest thing that the promoters and the coordinators were not making sure that they had the best on stage, but like setting it up to at least be in that favor. That's what I think. But either way, I think it's fine. I actually think though, so what's funny in that aspect, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that might have made it where William and I went first against each other. Cause I think he might have gotten second. I don't know, but I thought that he might have actually gotten third in the first round because he had, I think, a small bobble, but I don't remember that. I think, so that would have been interesting. That would have changed the way things were, but
a division of all out perfectionists and high level kicking.
Yeah. It was really cool.
And you mentioned, did you say Caitlin Vaughn did choreo?
Yeah, she did choreo, and then she did Tayback, and then she did choreo again in the finals. So it's really cool. Really good stuff. Gabrielle did 3 different forms. She did OG first round, Yusin second round, and Gaybeck in the final round. Same thing. I did 3 forms. I did Ouyam first round, Chung Mu in the second round, and then OG. You
did Chung Mu with the jump, with the scissor jump side kick and everything?
Yeah, I did that one head to head against Jesse. So it was really cool. We saw a lot of different forms, this weekend. And I think that was another thing that was exciting for people because people kind of get used to seeing Kun Sang Kun and Gayback and, some of the other ones, even Yusin has gotten kind of, that a lot of people have seen those. So I think it was a good thing for Korean martial arts. And you know what? One of the things that when we were talking about, Larry made the announcement that I heard 2 different things. I heard the Korean Challenge was going to be an NASCA division next year, but then I also heard that actually they have voted to have junior Korean divisions in NASCA next year. So I've heard
that seems like that would be more accurate.
I've heard 2 different things from different people. So we will see. But the next Korean challenge that I know of is at Ozarks. And then right after that is at Capital Classics. So
nothing at the U.S. Open. No Korean challenge at the U.S.
Open. No, because they didn't have time to get that set up.
All right.
Yeah. It's fine. I still think we could get numbers if we even signed
it up
right now.
You could just send out a blast email right now. Hey, guess what, guys?
Yeah, because more people from Leclerc's and from PKSA are going than they came to battle. So yeah. Hey, and then Air Kick will happen, and then Diamonds is supposed to happen. And I feel like Miami. I also feel like Miami will happen because last year they had a separate AAU tournament in the back area.
Oh, that would be cool.
That's an easy thing. I feel
Yeah.
like so. Yep.
Hey, I got a question on some of the Korean forms that you mentioned and you listed off. So this is Jeff Doss's opinion.
Okay.
You mentioned because I just brought up like choreo. Who has the best choreo performance that you've seen?
Ever?
I really mean ever.
Oh, that's really hard. I'll tell you some of my favorites. Okay.
Okay, go for it. Yeah.
All right. Some of my favorites. When they were younger, Jimmy Pham and Kim Do, because they did choreo. Both of them did really good choreos as juniors in the NBL. Okay?
I haven't seen that, but I could see it.
Okay, so both of them, those are awesome.
Both of them.
I know I'm forgetting someone. There was a guy in NBL named Johnny Shaw that had a sick side kick, and he did it on both sides. He was solid. As far as honestly, I think Caitlin Vaughns has to go up there. Her performance was amazing, and she had I've seen her do it before. Like she won my tournament one year doing that, and she lost to my student in the finals for the Grand who did OG, Aaron Bailey. So I think she's up there. Who's someone else?
I like Anthony Murata.
And see, I always think of Anthony Murata for Gaybeck, but yeah, his
choreo was there.
His choreo was really good. Yeah, you're right.
Okay, what about Gaybeck? It's hard. I mean, like if you're gonna have one of those, you better be damn good. Who's your best Gaybeck?
It's to me. All right, before we go in, I'm just gonna say this. So William Smart came up to be in one of my top rivals in Korean forms, and I just want to give that shout out to him. The other three that I think to me are my hardest competitors ever, all three did Gaybeck. Okay. One, Dan Marshall. If anyone hasn't, check out Dan Marshall's Gaybeck. Amazing, right? Another one, Edgar Cordova. Edgar Cordova's Gaybeck is one of the best ever. Amazing. Really? The next one, like I said earlier, Bear Lobie. Bear Lobie's Gaybeck is one of the cleanest, and there's almost no flaws to it, right?
Wow.
And he has a little bit more flair. So those three are my favorites and the hardest I've ever competed against. There's one more though that created that flair and that style that everyone kind of copied, and that's Ramir Mesquita from California. He was part of USA Martial Arts, same karate school, same Taekwondo school as Jimmy Pham. He really kind of showcased how to do that jump kick, that jump side kick, and just had that extra flair to it. Like even back then in the 90s, he kind of did it. You know, everyone kind of tucks the leg. He did, but like almost split-legged and
really
pushed the line a little bit. But yeah, I mean,
that was one of the things that I loved about John Chung's form. Like when we were on the pod last week and we watched the video that was posted when he did the jump side kick and his leg tucked all the way up, man. Beautiful, it is, right? And it was to perfection. So the tuck, just to tuck your leg is one thing, but to tuck it and bring it all the way up, like you're on the ground stretching.
Yeah, it's cool.
Wow, that's nice.
Yeah.
All right, what about Baisai?
I haven't seen too. Actually, you know what? All right, here's a name that a lot of people probably know. He was on DKT Force One. Rocky Holdley. All right, he was from DKT. You probably actually fought against him as a junior. He's probably the same age. Well, no, he's a little older than you. He's the same age as Brian Ruth. He used to fight Brian Ruth all the time in point fighting, but his Baisai was really good. Another good one was Steve Tirada. Steve Tirada had a good Baisai.
You know, Steve Tirada did have a good Baisai, and people, rightly so, only think of Steve Tirada as an extreme forms competitor, because I still think today he's still ahead of if you go back 20 years ago, he's still ahead of his time. If you would have took him 20 years ago, put him in now, he's still ahead of his time. So, but he did have a great Baisai.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome, man. All right, we could talk about this all night, but let's move on to the next topic because it was a whole weekend of tournaments.
It was a whole weekend. One thing, all right, let's get into some fighting. All right, there was a lot of form stuff. We'll go back to that when we can. Women's fighting, dude, it was stellar. It was so good. There were so many names, and again, I don't know all of them. Travis, if you want to know all the names and the rounds and who won this or that, go check out CTE. They really did a great job at that and pushing that. I don't have all the information. I'm just going to tell you, man, the division's getting good, man. Like it's really getting good. And the top and some of the people that are really pushing it are young, like 18, 19, you know. I think again, we talk about Yamina, dude, she's getting better and better, and she really stepped up this weekend, and getting that win over Katarina was huge. But then some people would get that win over her, which we saw some happen at Quebec, and then lose in the final. She kept it going. She beat Lexi, who had a great weekend as well in the final. And then guess what? Right after that, she went, did an interview, ran back on stage, and did team fighting with Peyton and won women's team. So women's teams was let's see, yeah, it was Revolution, and I'm just having a blank on who they went against. Somebody help me so I can remember. But yeah, it was just sick. I actually believe it might have been Legend, but I don't quite remember. So, but great job to Yamina for those two wins, and just seeing her growth, really understanding the step in and how to do that against Katarina. On the other end, man, Corina winning the overall grands. And that was I don't know if you got to see any of it, but that was a great fight. You know, right down to the wire, last second, beautiful. Just, she's just really, really stepping it up. So what were some things that you saw on that or you heard?
I heard a lot. I heard everything that you just mentioned. I saw none of it.
Right.
So I can't.
Yeah.
This is full transparency. All
right.
I can't speak on it personally. I won't try it. I won't try to fake the funk.
Right. But who are some of your favorites right now that you're excited to see, like, over the next year, the rest of because we're in the second half, right? We're going to that second half of the year.
We're on the second half right now. Yeah. All right. So let's just go. Well, you know what? Let's just go back in time to January. You know, when we were starting the season, I kind of looked at Katarina Herman and was like, you know, maybe she at the start of that event, like, hey, you know, maybe she could pull something out. Maybe she seems like she's really into it. She seems like she's really motivated. She's definitely plugged into the league. So she's got a good handle on what she needs to do. Maybe she could put it together, and then dang, there she goes. Right. I didn't think she'd be here, you know, 6 months ago. I didn't think she'd be here, but here she is.
Right.
I really think if this person was as active as everybody else at like every tournament, I think she could possibly be the best, and that's Brianna Nurse.
Okay. She's been pretty active though. She's been at every event.
I don't, man, there's just I think it's her I'm gonna bust you up attitude, right?
Oh yeah. I think that helps her.
Appeals to me so much.
That helps her and it hurts her. So, you know.
Well, right. Yeah. We've all seen great fighters that have had that initially.
Yeah.
And there's a fight that I'm going to touch on that I did watch live from the battle where they were like, I'll bust you up, and then it hurt them. So I think what it is in the women's division, it's a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that as a knock, although it certainly sounded like it. I'm really meaning it like, wow, man, this is a bit of a difference. This is a change. Yeah. Like, look at her. She's basically saying, hey, the rest of you women, watch the heck out. I will literally bust you up.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it really kind of reminds me of just like, again, we go back to that year 2000. It was just like a big change, right? And it's like so many names that
who did she remind you of?
We haven't seen, you know, because a lot of those guys came from the NBL to NASCA, and you know, who does who remind me of?
Brianna.
Yeah. I mean, she reminds me of like a Trevor or a Damon, kind of a combo of both. You put the best of both of them with, oh man. But who are you going to say?
I mean, from the women's side, Deshaun Bay, maybe.
Maybe, yeah, I see
mean,
that.
she's not as flamboyant as Deshaun
Right.
was when Deshaun wanted to do that. But when
No.
Deshaun wanted to bust you up,
Yeah.
right? I think Brianna's better than what she was. But when I see that, like when she just drops that dang axe kick down in front of him and then pow with the rear hand, it's just something that's nice.
Yeah.
You know, we don't. Everybody always picking like the front runner. Sometimes it kind of gets stale. So seeing a nice new fresh blood out there ready to rock some people, it's fun. It's fun to watch.
That's one. Yasmina Aoud is someone that I think every tournament gets better and better and better. You know, getting in the top 3 in the open weight, winning her division. You know, great pedigree from TPK, from Plowden. So I mean, just continuing to get better, and she's going everywhere, right? She's not just going the place where Morgan's going. She's not just going if Coach Plowden's there, Avery's there. She's going everywhere. So I think that's a big deal. You know, Karina's killing it. And again, the person that we keep thinking, oh, she's just had a couple of good tournaments when maybe no one was there. Oh, well, she just got lucky at the diamonds. Oh, well, she got this or that. Yo, Yamina is still going in there and
consistently
and
improving.
And again, I have to say, she's the most active fighter there is. Every weekend she is at 2 tournaments. And here's the deal, at those 2 tournaments, you may say, oh, well, the competition isn't as much. But here's the deal. She has the target on her back because now she is, so everyone is trying to beat her. When you every weekend have that spotlight on you, talk to Tony Young. That's why he went to regionals all the time, because especially as a lightweight, and she is too, she's one of the lightest fighters.
It's like the lightest.
Yeah, the lightest. And you're the top person, and you're going to these tournaments, winning grands against the heaviest fighter who's trying to knock you out and do whatever they can to get rid of you.
And they will.
That's just going to make you better. So it's really exciting. I've always been a huge fan of women's fighting. You know, so I'm just excited to see it. So yeah, I think it was a cool thing.
Let's segue to the men's fighting.
Yes, let's do it. So let's just talk about it. What were some of the things that stood out to you? Again, huge numbers. You know, to me, there's several fighters who stood out.
Yeah, you know, that is what was great. There was so many fighters that were very good, and there was a few champions that were great to see. One of the takeaways that I have is that Tyreek Saint is as talented as everybody, you know, threatened he would be, because he is. The other thing is that, you know, Top 10 USA is a pretty dang good team,
dude.
And
I
also
say it all the time. Oh man.
But also, Enrique Latona has a great front leg and pisses me off all at the same time.
Oh, dude.
It's not common that a great front leg kicker would piss me off, but this one does. But before everybody starts, you know, touching on that, I did say he was very talented and I am impressed by him, but he also pisses me off. So here's what I'm going to touch on. He had a lot of fights and he did a very good job, but
he did.
Specifically, I'm going to mention the fight between he and Alex Macias. Okay. So I'm watching this fight.
Okay. I think I missed this one. So.
Well, I didn't. I watched this fight live. And it was like, I'm like, please, Alex, don't do this. Don't fall into it, because Enrique, I'm going to air quotes right now, fell again, right? He fell again. And Alex gets so angry, justifiably. I get it. Because here he is fighting, right? And he's cutting, he's angling, he's jamming him, he's getting in, he's jamming his leg to where the leg can't do anything. And then he's down on the ground. And Alex is losing it because he's like, there just went my opportunity to score a point. Like, I did all this hard work.
Right.
Then you lay on the ground and now I got to go back, start over, and then do this work all over again. Yeah. It is frustrating. And if I could be right there, I would say, Alex, don't buy into this. He's going to bait you in. He knows you're going to come super angry, pressuring, and aggressive, and he's going to pick you off in the process. And that is exactly what happened as soon as he got back up. And I was like, I could see it coming. And I'm like, Alex, don't do it. Don't do it. And it happened. You know what I mean? And each time that happens with Alex, I see his frustration and I feel his frustration because I get as frustrated as he does.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I don't think anybody gets as visually frustrated as Alex Macias does when there's a certain injustice, and that is it. I feel like an injustice is happening, and it's not like he didn't cheat, but he allowed the judges to give him an out, right? And he didn't make the judges do anything. He just went down to the ground, and the judges didn't really. I don't want to blame it on the judges. All right, I'm not, but he's just getting so angry, and he looks at them and he looks at the situation as like, how are you guys just letting him lay on the ground? Get him up. My words, not his. All right. And I'm like, man, just if you keep your cool and you fight the fight just like you were right before he went down, you will win this match. You will be fine. And that guy, he's kind of a hothead, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He's kind of a hothead, right? But that's also, I think, the performer in him, because he's a great, forms competitor, and boom, he's ready to explode, and then Enrique picked him off.
Yeah.
I felt, and that's what it's like, oh, I love seeing this great front leg, but I hate how you're doing it all at the same time.
Dude, I think, though, so for me, Enrique had a good weekend, but he stands, to me, man, he is, when people were saying, oh, why put him on Bailey at the end? I feel like Enrique is a great closer. He is a great fighter at the end. And we've seen it many times of being that last fighter. We've seen it in Waco. We've seen it in USA teams. We've seen it in many different opportunities. And this guy, that leg, when you are down, you're going to run into it, or he's going to control you with it. And he did a great job of actually bringing it back in that team fight against Bailey. And that was, again, kudos to Battle for putting men's teams last. A lot of people would probably have put it first to get the energy going, but there was so many different things. And, dude, that was the best way to end the night because it was exciting. It was so much fun and so live, and everyone was excited. I was on my feet. I didn't really know who was going to win. But we're talking about just great job to Top 10 USA. Everyone's like, man, this is such a weird team. All really super duper lightweights, right? And they're just a matchup nightmare for everybody because of the styles that they have. And then you look on the other end, and you look at one of the best just team fighters, I think, especially that middle round, is we haven't yet. We're getting to weapons. We will get there. Team fighters is Brandon Ballou, man. He always surprises you, and you're always like, oh, man, no, this is a great matchup because this person's going to put a lot of points on Brandon. No, never happens.
Who's been that person?
I'm
still waiting to find that person that just puts up a lot of points on Brandon.
It's not going to happen. And then you got the veteran now, which is funny to say, right, of Kevin Walker, adding that veteran leadership to the team.
Isn't that crazy?
And then you have the star, Bailey Murphy. So that's a great team now, and I think they're getting used to being together better. I hate that TDE wasn't all healthy, but I think overall, it was really cool. And dude, Jarvis, dude, he's going to cause some problems with people. This guy is humongous. All right.
He's not the same guy. He's not the same fighter that people remember when he was 14, 15.
No.
He's grown.
Gigantic.
He had some Wheaties.
He definitely did. All right. So let's skip. We're hoping we might have a guest. We don't know. It just depends. You know how all of us, we're all busy.
We get it.
We get it, but we'll talk about someone in a little bit if they show up or if they don't. But
if they don't, we're going to bring it up.
Yeah. So weapons forms, the CMX side of everything. Amazing. Oh, one more shout out to Mason Stowell winning the traditional grands. Great job. dude's just a beast. He dominated both his divisions and, did a great job in the grand. So
This kid
I
looks like he
enjoy.
does strongman competitions to get ready for forms.
He's huge, right?
Like, what in
He's
the
getting
world?
big.
Who does that? He kind
He's
of breaks
getting
the
big.
mold when it comes to that.
He's getting big. So always a pleasure to compete against him. Second year in a row that it's been him and I going head to head. So it was cool. Weapons, man, there's so much to really talk about, junior, adult, but we'll get to that in a second. Let's hold on that. Yeah. That's the topic I want to talk about, because actually it's funny, but I'll say that in a
Just
second.
go.
Yeah.
Go for it.
All right. Weapons. Yo, we had Dawson Holt, Rashad, Esteban, and Ben Jones just killing it. Unfortunately, Rashad dropped, but Dawson had a heck of a form. Ben Jones had an amazing form. And then we have shut up, Wesley. Loving the hair. And then Esteban just killed it as well. So, we saw like 4 or 5 10s in that grand championship, which is crazy.
Love that.
I love that. I love hearing that. And I love it that they're allowing that. So I think it just adds more fun to the finals. I know, who would have thought that
Absolutely.
a score would add, but it does. When you hear that 10, like, it's just amazing, right? So,
and that was one of the things that we kind of touched on last week when Mr. John Chung was saying that, your score isn't exactly just your score, but it's also reflective of your placement within the division. Like, your score is really your placement within the division.
Yeah. Thanks, Ben.
And so sometimes that's hard, because when you say, like, all right, this guy's number 1, okay, then he gets the 9-9. Why can't they just be a badass and get a 10?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Right. Good job, Drew. Dude, I'm telling you, man, Ben Jones is freaking good. He's so good, man. And Esteban is good. Dawson is freaking good. And you have that happening while we have Marcel Jones he was one of the judges in the Korean Challenge.
That's my homie.
You have Kalman Choka right there. You have Craig Henningsen in the crowd. You have Donald Lee in the crowd. You have Tyron Woodley. I didn't even mention this. Okay. So I'm doing my form. I see Tyron before that, right? Okay. So I see Woodley before that. Right. And everyone's talking about, yo, it's Bailey's dad. It's Bailey's dad. Like, everyone's joking about, right? And I'm like, wait, yeah, it looks like Tyron Woodley. He's like, no, it really is him. I'm like, oh yeah, he's with Donald Lee. So he's doing a movie, or he's doing some things with Donald Lee and Craig, right? He's doing some things with those guys, right? And so I go up to the person that's with him and say, hey, which is Donald. Don used to compete in the NBL.
Right.
Actually, you and I talked to him at AKAs for a while.
Yep.
Right? You, me, and Edgar. And so, awesome dude. So I got to talk to him. And Angel's like, Jeff, can you take a picture of me with Tyron? So I did, right? So I took a picture of that. But later on, I'm doing my form, right? And in the first division, the traditional game, and I do my last side kick. Boom. And I just look down, and that's all I see is Tyron Woodley's face going. I'm like, yeah.
That's the bomb.
I'm so focused, but I had enough to see that, hey, Tyron Woodley's right there. So that was funny.
That's cool. Did you look? And is his leg like the size of your torso? Like his quads?
Yo, he's huge, right? It's crazy.
You're right.
I know. It's insane.
He's an insane physical specimen.
It is, man. It is. The weapons, though, man, so awesome. Kudos to those guys. I think the team forms, I'm hearing a lot of great compliments about that. Joe Troya and Colin O'Brien versus Esteban and Ben, just a great battle. So I think it's really cool to see this next level. One more shout out to just the most different traditional formed weapons grand we've seen in a while, which kudos to the judges and kudos to everyone for just giving everybody a shot. Just like seeing 3 different guys. We had an oar, we had the spear, which, 2 guys from Terry Kramer School. And then we have Alec Jahanbach, who won with a sword. So just different names, different people. So it was really cool to see that as well. Yeah, man. Overall, weapons was just legit. Lots of fun. All right, I want to get in my topic. So this was kind of something that came off of
do it, and then we got to get to our other part.
Yeah, So, what move in creative form should replace the butterfly kick? Okay, so I'm talking to my son, and he's like, he was there the whole weekend, and he fought, and he is like, yeah, I like creative, but he's like, yeah, I like to give into forms again. I was like, well, you can do maybe just start with creative. He's like, yeah, but dude, everyone does the butterfly kick, and I hate that move so much. I don't even. It's not a. I'm like,
it isn't. Okay. It isn't a cool move.
I get it, and so
30 years ago, it was
every form has it, and I'm guilty.
Time.
I'm guilty now of adding it into some of my guys' forms, but in trying to be as creative with it as possible. But what move should replace it? So let's hear some ideas, guys. What are some moves we want to see that should be either the thing that everyone does, or flying sidekicks? If someone does a good one, yes. There's just not too many good ones anymore. Good flying sidekicks. I know what you said.
Asked me this today,
and yeah.
I will tell everybody.
There's only about 3 people that will do it. So
I will tell you my immediate response. Like the moment I saw it, it was like, there's my response. What should replace the butterfly kick in creative forms? Standing kicking.
Yeah, standing kicking.
Guys, it doesn't even matter the kick. It's going to be better. Just do a front kick where you hold it up super high and you hold it for a while. That will be more impressive than the butterfly kick. Right?
Right.
Give me a round.
People do a really good one. But to me, I think it's multiple kicking. But yeah, that again, there's only a few people that would do it. But heck, you know what? Back in the day, there are people that would do the front kick swing through side kick. I would love to see that again. I would love to see.
Yeah, I was guilty of doing that a few times.
The side kick punch, which I say I'm a big fan of. You're not a fan of, but that would be cooler. But that would be cooler than
a butterfly kick.
Or doing the flying side kick with a punch across.
That would be cool.
A scissor kick. What about a scissor kick, guys? Bring the scissor kick.
I'm actually down with the scissor kick. If there's ways where you can stick the scissor kick and you can actually bring your legs to a split while you're in the air. That's cool.
What about an actual 360 wheel kick that actually with some snap to it,
where you land solid stop.
Boom. Yeah.
You don't just do it and then keep rotating because you and then spin around to a chop punch. Do that remember when we would do that in the classroom? We'd start like in a fighting stance, just 2 legs, no gather, just jump straight up in the air, spinning,
360 spin,
land.
Yeah.
Land back in that fighting stance. Right. Come on, we did that.
There's a lot of cool things that I think people are not doing that are like even old school hand combos. Like, I mean, just boom, boom, like the chop down,
yes,
like the ridge hand chop. There's so many great things. Yeah, man. What about just a 360-degree spin into a knife hand? I mean, honestly, that would be cooler than some of the things that we're seeing,
Okay, so on this,
I'm loving that we're getting a lot of ideas here. Everyone's
I do love all of this. So. The double pop 360 that Chris Walker just said, I actually really like that idea.
Oh yeah.
So remember my homie Nick Wynn? Remember?
Yes.
Okay, so this is old school name, right? You got to really have had a pulse to know this guy's name because he didn't have a long tenure at a top level. So he was just one of those guys that you would train with forms in the school where you just had to like, if he was ever just doing something off to the side, you had to just like, you had to watch him because you knew he was planning on something.
Right.
This dude was not the most extreme, but he was by far the most creative, right?
Yeah.
So he's messing around and he jumps up and he does like a flying Buddha, right? And he jumps up and he brings his feet like up into a position and he brings his hands into like a praying position. And he just jumps as high as he can and he just holds it like that. And he just holds himself as long as he can, and then he drops down into like a backstance low block. And I'm like, that was freaking awesome, right?
Right.
How cool is that? And
That's
so
cool.
let's say you had that move, right? You're showing the hang time. It's not a strike, but come on, guys.
Right.
With people doing the butterfly kick, sometimes it's not a strike either, right?
No.
So,
No.
and then when you come down and then you actually land into a solid stance, like that's cool. The
Right.
creative division should try to be fun and cool, not toe the
With
line
karate.
of extreme,
Yep.
not toe the line of extreme.
No,
Maybe I could
no,
get
just
close
be
to
different.
it. Like I liked the ideas that we were seeing here of like the illusion twist. I do like that. I think that's cool.
You know, one that I forget that I used to do, but Kim Do had the best one, the running jump spin back kick with the lock.
Yeah, that was cool.
That would be, there's only a few people who can do that. But yeah,
All
that
right,
was
should we
cool.
jump into our last
All right.
topic?
Well, let's go into two people.
Yep.
Let's go into one first, and then we'll go to the last one. Tyree Saint, man, congrats, man! Like
big time.
Awesome to see him get over that hump and beat Bailey on stage at winning the open weight division. Congrats, dude. He was on this weekend, and then had a great right after that goes on stage to fight for team fighting. Just amazing job. And one more thing, congrats to Bailey too, winning his overall. Yep. Let's not and the team fighting. So this guy again is amazing, but it's really cool to see Tyreek to get there. So
well, what was great about it is even when Bailey was one of our first guests, and he is everything that he and gets all the praise that people give him. And he said, listen, Tyreek, like he was the first one to really beat me and say, like, listen, I could beat you. And then the next time they fought, he said he went out and like shut him out. It was like, whoa. Right. So we've all known how talented Tyreek is. What was great to see about this was that he put that talent and made it successful and actually won the championship. And I don't want to say actually like, oh, you finally did it. No, we always knew that it was possible.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're just really happy to see that happen.
Yeah.
So,
but again,
hand claps to you, my friend.
It's not like this guy's like my age, Like
no, we picked in the very first virtual fight tour. You and I picked him to beat Bailey.
Yeah, to beat Bailey. Yeah, we said he gives Bailey the hardest competition. So great job to Ty. All right, another first time, Devin Hopper, man.
Devin Hopper.
Last year at the battle, he had an amazing run. In that huge division, making it to the final, beating Bailey in the division. This year, he comes out and wins his first overall grand, winning the heavyweight grand. Just looking smooth. Look at him, man. Just looking smooth.
One of the things I love about Devin Hopper is that until this past weekend, Devin Hopper was always so good, but it was like he was always the weekend of almosts. Like, oh man, you almost got it, man. Oh, you almost got it. No, not anymore. And the other thing I really love about Devin Hopper is if you had to sit back and go, all right, you have to fight Devin Hopper next. What do you watch out for? What's the move that you watch out for?
There's so many.
Well, it's not just that there's so many. It's that there isn't a one thing. There isn't a one.
Just look right there. He did a reverse body punch. Then he went with an awesome back fist. Right.
Yeah.
And it was both of them were smooth. It wasn't like he was forcing anything. So
yeah. And his leg is good. So it's like
he's got a great kicker.
So when I say like, what is the move that you watch out for? And there really isn't one, right? Because you have to be ready for everything. He's a very good, polished fighter. And I'm not comparing the two. I'm not, but I think about that when I think about Jack Felton. Like, what's the move that you watch out for? Right. And I think so many people think, oh, it's his blitz. And unless you have watched him for, years, or you're really, really focused and you're watching closely, you understand that his blitz is different than what you might think it is. And that his kicks are actually really amazing.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Well, this guy, again, is an all-around martial artist, man. He could come and compete in nunchucks and do awesome. He could win. I think he could be in the top 8 at least of creative forms if he wanted to. This guy is a great martial artist. We're talking about, and we talked this before about with Obeda, right? a great all around martial artist. Devin,
That's a homie
same
right
thing.
there.
So man, it was awesome to see him win that. Congrats to him. Yo,
What?
before I left, Joe Corley walks by me and goes, "Congratulations, you look good up there, old man." I was like, "Oh, dude." When Joe Corley calls you old, oh man, he's just like, dude, it was cool to see you on the stage winning still. And that was the thing that Marcel and Calvin both said, dude, thank you for like holding it up just for us guys that like, he's like, you're older than both of us and you're still doing it. So that was cool. Also, yeah, just so many great people that I got to see, that I haven't seen in a long time. Of course, always Ashley Lane, Lynn Gregory, getting to see her. Man, I'm sure I'm missing Ernest, Yeah, Senior Grands was kind of an NBL flashback. That's really true. We had Tim Conkle in there. We had me. We had Bear Loby. Lots of cool things.
Well, when you started mentioning who was judging, for those who may not know the names, I know people know Calman and I know people know Marcel.
Young Juan was in there as a judge. Yeah.
But what's great about it is if you were to just sit back and go, okay, I'm going to handpick just from memory the best to judge these divisions. You had it.
It was good. Now, do I think that we could try to draw in some more from the traditional circuits? Yeah, I think so. And I think we will. Timing wise is bad, is a little bad because AAU Nationals is in like a week and a half. It's like it starts the day after. It starts the day after US Open. So people weren't really trying to travel. They're training and they're saving money, But yeah, I think great judges all around. I know there were some, the tournament, yes, it was long. But I feel like they had a good job at having judges. I feel like some of the issues were the in-between division thing, because we had so many people from back in the day. What happens? We want to talk. We want to, I think some of that happened. I remember after our division, the Korean, I had to kind of step in and be like, hey guys, I know y'all want to ask everyone things and take pictures with John Chung, but like the women's division's got to go. We're kind of behind. Let's go. So I think that, there's those things that when we get all together, we get excited,
Well, I do like that some people were wanting to take pictures, and I think there needs to be more of that in our culture. And I think so often it was just like a couple of people who were getting that, Raymond was getting that, and maybe a few other forums guys were getting that, like Caitlin Deschelle might have gotten the autographs, but I really think there needs to be more of that. And someone like John Chung is obviously deserving of that. So I like that's happening in the sport.
Oh yeah. One more. Yeah. The judges were distant in all the rings except one. And that was the stage. And that bothered me a lot on that one. But all the other rings were distant from each other. So that was great.
That's cool.
Great to see. Of course, we had the rules for the Korean Challenge and they were read. I hope that becomes a thing in all the divisions, though. So I think, man, overall, again, we're great job to the promoters, the Roofs, to Mr. Presley, Mr. Rudolph, everyone involved. There's so many people. I tell you, how did I just freaking forget his name? I know we're getting close, but I'll mention in a second. But all the guys, great job. Just amazing show, amazing tournament. Just keep it up, guys. All right.
This has been another episode of Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff. I am Alex Dingman.
I'm Jeff Doss. See you guys next week and have a blessed one.